In this lesson, we will cover digital forensic procedures. Digital forensics is a systematic process of investigating and analyzing digital devices and data to uncover evidence for legal purposes, often in the context of criminal investigations or legal disputes. Whenever you are performing digital forensics, you must always adhere to your organization's well-defined written procedures to ensure that you are properly handling your forensics correctly, efficiently, and in accordance with the required regulations. This approach helps to ensure that you are always utilizing consistent and established protocols. Digital forensic procedures are broken down and categorized into 4 main phases: identification, collection, analysis, and reporting. First, we have identification. The identification step focuses on ensuring the safety of the scene, securing it to prevent any evidence contamination, and determining the scope of the evidence to be collected. Let's pretend you're working with law enforcement as a digital forensic examiner or data collection expert. You receive a call to enter a home to respond to a crime, but you know that this house may be a potentially dangerous environment since the threat actor may still be inside the building. So now your initial priority is to first secure the scene to ensure your safety and the safety of others with the help of the police. And then, once the scene is properly secured, you can proceed to work to preserve the evidence from any kind of contamination. And then you can take videos or photographs of the crime scene to document where everything was when you arrived on the scene. At the same time, also need to begin to identify the scope of the evidence that you will need to collect by gaining a good understanding of where the relevant data might be stored, such as on a tablet, smartphone, smart TV, or server based on the nature of the data specified in the warrant. Second, we have the collection phase. Once we have identified what information needs to be collected, we can begin our collection phase. When it comes to collection, it is imperative that you have the proper authorization before you begin collecting any potential evidence. If you are working with law enforcement, this authorization will come in the form of a warrant signed by a judge. But if you're working in a large enterprise environment or conducting an internal investigation, you may need authorization from the CIO, CSO, CEO, or other high-level executive before attempting any evidence collection. When it comes to evidence collection, you need to ensure you follow the proper acquisition procedures for your organization, including following the order of volatility and preserving the chain of custody. Order of volatility is a systematic approach in digital forensics that dictates the sequence in which data sources should be collected and preserved based on their susceptibility to modification or loss. The general principle is to start with your collection efforts with the most volatile resources and work towards the least volatile resources in order to minimize data loss and maintain evidentiary integrity. Now, the typical order of volatility involves 5 main steps according to the NIST Special Publication 886. First, you must collect data from the system's memory, including the processor's cache and system's RAM. Second, we need to capture data from the system state, such as the system and network configurations, active user sessions, and any data that can be obtained without altering the state of the system. Third, we need to collect data from your storage devices, such as hard drives, solid-state devices, and other non-volatile data storages. Fourth, we need to capture network traffic and logs, including data that can help us reconstruct any network-related activities or network events. Fifth, we need to collect remotely stored archive data, including backups, cloud storage, external devices, and printouts. As you can see, our whole goal here is to collect the things that change fastest first, and then move into the more static or less frequently changed items like your offsite backups. When data is collected and acquired, you must ensure that the chain of custody is maintained. The chain of custody is a documented and verifiable record that tracks the handling, transfer, and preservation of digital evidence from the moment that is collected until it is presented in a court of law. Now, maintaining a secure and unbroken chain of custody is essential to demonstrate the integrity and admissibility of evidence. Anytime someone handles the evidence from their initial collector to a forensic analysis, investigator, or other legal professional, they must carefully document their actions and any changes in the evidence custody status. This meticulous record-keeping ensures that the evidence remains untainted and can withstand scrutiny during legal proceedings that will ultimately contribute to a credible and robust case against the threat actor being charged with some type of cybercrime. When you collect your evidence, it should be collected using processes like disimaging and file carving. Disimaging involves creating a bit-by-bit or logical copy of a storage device, preserving its entire content, including deleted files and unallocated space. This imaging ensures that the original data remains untouched and allows forensic analysts to work with an exact duplicate of the device for their analysis. File carving, on the other hand, focuses on extracting files and data fragments from storage media without relying on the file system. File carving is particularly useful when file metadata is missing or corrupted. Both techniques can serve as a critical role in preserving evidence and providing forensic experts the data they need to conduct a thorough investigation while maintaining the original integrity of the evidence source. The third phase is the analysis phase. Once we have confirmed forensically sound copy of the evidence available, our forensic analysts can employ repeatable methods and tools for the examination of the evidence. This rigorous process involves systematically scrutinizing the data to uncover relevant information, such as potential signs of criminal activity, hidden files, timestamps, and user interactions. Analysts follow strict procedures and documented protocols to ensure consistency and objectivity in their findings. By adhering to these established practices, digital forensic experts can derive valuable insights from the evidence to help unravel complex cases and provide crucial support for any potential legal proceedings. The fourth and final step of the process is known as reporting. Now, after the forensic analyst completes their analysis of the evidence, they must present a document that describes their methods and tools that they use in their investigation, any actions that they perform through the analysis, their detailed findings, and their final conclusions about the investigation in their final report. This report serves as crucial evidence in legal proceedings and trials, and the forensic analyst must be prepared to testify in court about their findings. This is another reason why it's essential to adhere to strict procedures when conducting digital forensics, because you may be asked to defend your work against potential challenges by a defense attorney. Now, another important concept to understand is a legal hold. When litigation is reasonably expected, your organization will be forced to implement a legal hold. A legal hold is a formal notification that instructs employees to preserve all potentially relevant electronic data, documents, and records. Legal hold ensure that no evidence is tampered with, deleted, or lost, as any alteration or destruction of relevant data can lead to severe legal consequences. This process essentially freezes the state of electronic information to safeguard it for future use in an upcoming legal proceeding. When a legal hold is issued, you must ensure that preservation practices are used to protect the systems and potential evidence that they contain. Preservation involves taking proactive steps to maintain and protect electronic evidence in its original state, including ensuring that the data is not overwritten, deleted, or modified inadvertently. Preservation measures may include making backup copies of electronic records, isolating critical systems, and implementing access controls to prevent any unauthorized alterations. The goal of preservation is to maintain the evidentiary integrity of the electronic information, which is essential for building a strong case or responding to legal requests. Finally, we have e-discovery. E-discovery, or electronic discovery, is the process of identifying, collecting, and producing electronically stored information during potential legal proceedings. E-discovery encompasses searching through vast volumes of electronic data to locate relevant evidence, analyzing it, and presenting it in a format suitable for litigation. E-discovery tools and techniques are employed to efficiently sift through emails, documents, databases, and other digital records. Effective e-discovery practices are essential for legal teams to meet their disclosure obligations and navigate the complexities of modern litigation, where electronic data often plays a central role. Now, if all of this sounds like it has potential to have issues arise that could cause legal issues for you or your organization, you're right. In most cases, your organization should opt to appoint a liaison with legal knowledge and expertise to help facilitate communication and cooperation with law enforcement and forensic teams to ensure you stay on the right side of the law. This liaison can serve as a point of contact for interactions and ensuring a smoother process. And often, this person is someone who is a lawyer or works with your organization's in-house general counsel to keep your organization on the right side of the law. Finally, let's quickly talk about ethical considerations that are important to think about in the field of digital forensics. Your organization's forensic analysts must adhere to a code of ethics that emphasizes three key principles: avoiding bias, repeatable actions, and the preservation of evidence. All of your analysis must always be performed without any kind of bias or prejudice. Any conclusions you draw should be solely based on the evidence that you're analyzing. You should never have your own thoughts like, well, I don't like this person because of X, Y, and Z. Your investigation cannot be based on their color, their creed, their nationality, their sexual orientation, their political beliefs, what they look like, or anything else like that. It should be based only on the evidence. Personally, I have found that it is the best practice to use a forensic analyst who is completely removed from the situation to avoid any kind of potential bias. For example, in some places that I have worked, we would have one set of people who collect information called digital media collectors and another set that analyzes it called the digital forensic examiners. Under this model, the forensic analysts only have the data to rely on since they don't know the victim or attacker's name or anything else about the case up to that point, and that can help minimize and eliminate some of that bias. Also, all of your analysis must utilize repeatable processes that anyone else can perform and get the exact same results that you did. This is why documenting all of your actions in a final report is so important, because proper documentation of methods ensures that others can reproduce same results using the same techniques. Now, what I mean is that if I take the exact same evidence and give it to somebody else, they should be able to get the same results if they use the same methods that you did. For example, when I do my forensic analysis, I will write down the time, the actions that I took, and the results of those actions. For example, on February 2nd, 2024, at 10:23, I entered the command netstat-ano at the command prompt of the Windows 10 system. I received a list of active network connections on that machine, and I noticed a connection to a potentially malicious server with an IP address of 66.55.44.33. In addition to this, I might also include a screenshot of the netstat results. This way, anyone who might be asked to double check my work can see what I did, when I did it, how I did it, and what results I received. It is almost critically important that any evidence you collect is not changed or manipulated. When I talk about evidence here, I am talking about both the device itself, like a hard disk of a laptop, and the files or data recovered from that device. For example, I am starting to perform a forensic analysis on your laptop. I should not start running commands on your laptop since that could change the contents of your swap file and potentially other files of your hard drive. So I should first image that drive, then conduct my analysis on the disk image of that drive instead of the original drive to prevent any modifications or alterations of any potential evidence located on that hard drive. So remember, digital forensics is a systematic approach of investigating and analyzing digital devices and data to uncover evidence for legal purposes. Digital forensic procedures are broken down and categorized in 4 main phases: identification, collection, analysis, and reporting. You should always ensure that you follow a code of ethics that emphasizes 3 key principles: avoiding bias, repeatable actions, and the preservation of evidence. If you begin to have any deviations from these ethical standards and procedures, a good defense attorney will be able to discredit your findings in court, which could lead to the evidence you collected being inadmissible in court, and the threat actor will be able to get away with their crimes without any prosecution. So remember, always follow the proper procedures when collecting and analyzing evidence so that justice can be upheld even if your work undergoes rigorous scrutiny during a legal proceeding.